Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the owner and co-creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk about the different stages of a relationship. So I have been creating inside the Personal Development School our advanced attachment style courses, and in it, what we've done is we've basically taken your attachment style and gone through each of the different attachment styles, and I've correlated different patterns and traits and qualities that come out in each stage of our relationship for the individual attachment styles. And in doing this, I was like, wow, this is such important information because there's so many patterns and nuances and so many questions are answered just through organizing this and structuring it. And so we take a look at the different protest behaviors. We take a look at the different limiting beliefs, fears, expectations in each stage of a relationship are crazy because they're so different for different attachment styles. And these can be some of the things that are really the catalysts that lead us to the power struggle phase or lead us to sort of come out of that honeymoon phase prematurely at times. So what I decided to do is be like, okay, I'm at least going to share a YouTube video that touches just on the stages of a relationship and give you some tools in this video at the end for what to do. I'm not going to go into all the attachment style stuff specifically in this video because there's a lot of information. But I want everybody to be able to just look at the different stages of a relationship that they are in, identify them, and I'm going to give you some tools at the end of this video for how to sort of recognize and work with each stage of the relationship. And create strategies and just traction. Because if we're not aware of what stage of a relationship we are in, it's so easy to think like, oh, there's something wrong or things are changing or why are things changing? That must be a bad thing. And what I find is the mind has this really deep desire to fill in the blanks whenever it doesn't have answers. And if we're not actively filling in the blanks by recognizing that there's some sort of challenge or fear or something is arising in us, and then we use that to consciously and intentionally research, gain knowledge, gather information so we can fill in the blanks in a healthy way where we're truly educated on what's going on, then instead the mind likes to fill in the blanks with like basically worst case scenarios. So it's like, oh, we're in the power struggle phase of the relationship. And instead of looking at it as this sort of like rite of passage to access the next stages of a relationship, it's often quite common that I see people just judging it and being like, we're fighting, things are going wrong. This isn't the perfect person I fell in love with because you're exiting the honeymoon phase. And so as that sort of like dating honeymoon phase, oxytocin, phenylethylamine, I can't, it's a really hard word to say. I hope I said that correctly. But as we exit these like neurochemical infatuation and bonding areas and the mask comes off, it's really easy to fill in the blanks with the wrong information, the wrong stories, because the mind is just basically projecting whatever worst case scenarios and whatever meaning it can give to a situation. And that's usually based on past wounds and unresolved traumas that are stored subconsciously. So if you felt abandoned, you exit the honeymoon phase and you're like, oh my gosh, sorry, if you felt like abandoned in childhood or in some different area of your life in the past and you didn't resolve that and heal that wound, and that memory is stored subconsciously with all the emotions still fully intact, and you're fearing that, usually when you exit into the power struggle stage of a relationship, you're like, oh, things are not going well. I must be about to get abandoned. So we want to be able to identify the phases of a relationship so that we can work within those dynamics and truly understand what's going on and make not just peace with it, but like thrive in each stage and understand what is needed to progress into future stages. So I'm going to go through the stages in this video. At the end will give you some tools. I'm just going to give you like an overview of each of the different stages and take note, introspect as you go through this and look at where you are currently at. Also, really cool and exciting news. We are releasing the advanced attachment style courses that are like diving way into this and combining this with like attachment theory and your attachment style and your core wounds and limiting beliefs. And then we work to subconsciously reparent and reprogram those things. And then we are launching our shadow work course as well, which I'm so excited about. And we have some addiction courses, just really amazing stuff coming up in the future as well, after all the advanced attachment style courses as well. And we are bringing in, because we're in this beautiful stage of growth and development and being able to do all these beautiful things right now, we are going to bring in a naturopathic doctor to talk about gut health and just physical wellness and well-being and habits and eating and all these different wonderful things, and a meditation teacher because I'm getting so many wonderful questions about meditation. And I'm just, my goal here in 2020 for the school is to just equip everybody with as many amazing resources of experts as possible, to help really empower all 7 areas of life in like the most magical ways possible. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, and thank you for being here and being part of this community and just, contributing and asking amazing questions and sharing the videos and liking them. I so appreciate it. So I'll get into this. Stage one. Stage one is our dating phase of a relationship. So this phase is really characterized by learning somebody, getting to know them, deciding, okay, is this the right person? Could they fit into my life? And it doesn't have to be this, is this the right person? Like, is this a person I'm going to marry and be with forever? It doesn't have to be like a pressure oriented thing, but can I see myself continuing to spend my time with this person? Time is a very valuable resource that we all have. So it's really about connecting, going to that space, trying to understand yourself and seeing, is this person potentially a fit for where I want to be giving or spending my time? It's also analyzing, like noticing the different traits, the different qualities, how this person makes you feel, how you make this person feel, how you communicate. Like, it's really about understanding and seeing essentially if there's a match. Now, where this space can go wrong is, there's a couple of different places. Number one, the space can go wrong because sometimes different attachment styles progress at different paces. So sometimes, for example, the dismissive avoidant wants to stay in the dating phase a little bit longer than the anxiously attached individual. The anxiously attached individual is ready to get into honeymoon phase and have the neurochemicals and deeply connect and make these sort of, commitments to exclusivity. Whereas the dismissive avoidant often needs to spend more time in the learning, understanding, deciding phase because of some of their core wounds, beliefs, fears, and just basically the way they tend to naturally handle situations. As a general rule, dismissive avoidants like to take their time when making emotional decisions, really see what's going on, take their time to open up, take their time towards vulnerability, and really intellectually assess and move from a thought-based perspective instead of a feeling-based perspective. So, this is one place that you can see these sort of incongruencies or challenges starting to arise. And another place is that in the dating phase, if you were a highly codependent person or if you've got codependent or enmeshed imprints from the past, then instead of taking the time to learn somebody, understand, decide, gather information, analyze, and see, is this a fit from this place where your head and heart meet in the middle? Sometimes what we can do if we're highly codependent is we can get stuck in a space of going, oh my gosh, am I earning this person's love? Am I perfect enough? Am I worthy enough? And we can get so consumed with trying to prove ourselves that we didn't even assess the situation from our own perspectives and really check in with, like, what do I want? What do I need? Does this person fit into my life? And we're not supposed to sit there and be like narcissistic and trying to make sure the person fits into our space. But I say this because I see this very, very frequently where, if somebody has codependent tendencies, they can get so caught up in just trying to earn somebody's worth or earn somebody's love that even if the person is dismissive, rude, short, doesn't meet their needs, whatever it is, they can get so caught up in trying to crack the code and solve the problem that they didn't even check in to see if this is truly what they want. So just like a side note, if you're starting to date, try not to fall into that category or that perspective because it can result in a lot of wasted time, a lot of self-betrayal, self-abandonment, and doesn't usually have the best ending when it starts off that way. So that's one thing. The next stage is your honeymoon phase. So this usually goes from about 6 months. These are just general. Some of these times will overlap because it's, again, different for different attachment styles. People move at different paces. But generally, I see the honeymoon phase start to set in from about 6 months to 2 years. So dating being roughly 0 to 6 months before there's a more serious commitment that tends to come up. 6 months can go all the way up to 2 years. This tends to mirror our pattern with our parents. We get sort of unconditionally loved in the early phases, even though the world's sort of this strange place as we start coming into the world and sort of figuring out where we are and what the connection is. But we sort of, can do no wrong up until about the 2-year mark when around that space or stage, we start to be classically conditioned in childhood. So now we get punishment and reward, and we're wrong for this and we're good for this. And so it's interesting because our honeymoon phase almost mirrors that chapter. Like, love is blind, our partner can do no wrong. And then sort of around the 2-year threshold, give or take, we start to, oh, now the partner is good for this or bad for that. And what happens is right around the honeymoon stage ending, all of these neurochemicals and that high and that intoxication of these different neurochemicals, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, phenylethylamine, which is a really tricky word, all these things start to sort of dissipate because we get used to somebody, we get comfortable, we start to get, more secure. We start to feel like there's this adjustment, we adapt, it becomes a new subconscious comfort zone. And now, during the honeymoon phase itself, it's like, it's characterized by a lot of infatuation and highs and almost feeling like you're not fully yourself because the neurochemicals are so high. You're almost in this sort of intoxicated state. And sometimes we'll make like rash decisions and do things that we would never normally do. And there can be beauty in that because sometimes we want to do those things that take us outside of our comfort zone and create change in our lives and force us to grow and release control and surrender. And sometimes those are really powerful growth experiences at the same time. And at the same time, sometimes we can go too far in one direction and become out of balance. Sometimes I've seen people quit their job because they're so, and make sort of irrational decisions that can be harmful. So check in with where you're at there too. And then right around the 2-year mark, we start to get into the power struggle stage. Now, remember, this can be before or after. And this is where like the neurochemicals start to wear off a little bit. We have a little bit of withdrawal to a certain degree. And often because the mask comes off in a way, and I don't mean this from like a narcissistic place, like everybody's hiding themselves completely, but we release, we start getting comfortable and we let go of being on our best behavior. And what this can create is sometimes people can feel betrayed. They can feel confused. Why is this person, they used to hold all the doors all the time and they stopped. What's going on? Or they used to spend more time with my feelings and be present and what's going on. And so this can start to take place. And what we see often too is with different attachment styles, often certain attachment styles, namely dismissive avoidant, spend longer in the dating, shorter in the honeymoon, and move more quickly into the power struggle phase. And I want you to hold that next to an anxious, for example, who might spend a short amount in the dating, wanting to move into the honeymoon quite quickly and naturally, emotionally moving in that area, and then not wanting to leave that phase and move into the power struggle. And the power struggle is a natural progression of a relationship. Now, when it becomes problematic is when we stay in the power struggle phase for too long. The power struggle is about recognizing that there are differences, recognizing that somebody has opposite feelings, needs, behaviors, expectations, and learning how to work through these things and navigate that. And from an evolutionary or biological perspective, oftentimes we can find out that our partner is opposite to us in a lot of ways. And from an evolutionary purpose, our subconscious mind wants as much trait variety as possible to increase our chances at survival because our subconscious is wired for survival. And if you think from an evolutionary perspective, we needed, even just from a genetic perspective, we needed a whole bunch of variations of genes to maximize our ability or potential to survive different challenges that happened over the course of time. So we still have this mechanism in our brain that often gets us attracted to people who might push our buttons or be in opposition to us or have different coping mechanisms, different traits. We tend to subconsciously be attracted to that, and for the reason of wholeness, which I can go into in another video because that's a whole other really amazing broad topic that's important about how we get attracted to people and where that comes from. So I'm realizing already that this is starting to become a long video. And my goal is to make the videos a little bit shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the last 3 stages really quickly here. And then in the next video, I will go into what you can do with this information, how to actually use knowing what stage of a relationship you're in and how to progress into different stages. And again, I'm not going to do the attachment overlap here because it would just be so much content. So please check out the courses inside the school. But this will give you an initial introductory piece here. So the last the last 3 stages after the dating, honeymoon, and power struggle, and I'll go into them a little bit more in detail, but the next 3 stages, actually, I'm going to make a separate video for this. So stay tuned. I'm going to make a separate video for the next 3 stages, and I will go into some tools for what to just do and find out which stage you're in and how to figure that out. The next three stages are the stability stage, which is where we start to accept the differences in our partners. Sometimes we can feel bored or just sort of flatlined in this stage. The commitment stage, and this is actually the best time to really deeply commit to a relationship. If you're thinking of getting married or having children or really settling down, moving in together, it's usually the stage that you want to be doing it from. And this is where we recognize the imperfections in our partners, but we still find love and we still find deep connection. And we know how to work with those things and navigate them because we've become skilled and adept at doing that. And our last stage is the bliss stage. And this is where there's sort of this collective, united empowerment in a relationship, and couples start to expand beyond their own comfort zones, using each other as a secure attachment base to go do those things. So that they might start a charity together or contribute or start a business together or a project. There's a lot of collective action that takes place in this stage. So I will give you tools in the next video about how to navigate those stages. A little bit more I'll tell you about the past three stages, because this information is so important. So I just want to make sure it's concretely laid out for you to get a really clear picture. And we'll just talk about how to navigate and know which stage that you're in. So check that out for now. And let me know if you have any questions or comments in the actual comment section below. I'd love to hear what stage you think you're in and any questions you have about that stage. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.